Hey, thanks for joining us again today. We want to pick up our reading from where we talked about yesterday and left off in 2 Chronicles chapter 7 and at verse 4. After Solomon has completed the temple that took years and years to build and God's presence filled the temple, they all were excited and joyfully worshiped. Then listen to verse 4. Then the king and all of the people offered sacrifices to the Lord. King Solomon offered a sacrifice of 22,000 cattle and 120,000 sheep and goats. Can you imagine what that would have been like? To slay that many animals, to offer those sacrifices to God? They did it not out of fear, they did it out of joy and out of excitement because they had completed the temple. And they were letting God know just how much they loved him. It says at verse 6, the priests took their assigned possessions, and so did the Levites, who were saying, his faithful love endures forever. You see, they were joyfully worshiping God because they had completed the temple. They accompanied the singing with music from the instruments that King David had made for praising the Lord. And across from the Levites, the priests blew the trumpets while all of Israel stood. Then Solomon consecrated the central area of the courtyard in front of the Lord's temple. He offered burnt offerings and the fat of peace offerings there because the bronze altar he had built could not hold all of the burnt offerings and grain offerings and sacrificial fat. So it's just excitement and joy that they are offering all of these sacrifices to God, who has so blessed them to allow them to live at a time that they could see the completion of God's glorious temple that Solomon does. What joy that was for them to see the presence of God fill the temple. You know, there's some great and exciting news in the New Testament, and that is that our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit, and that we, as being members of the church, are individual blocks or building stones, a part of God's temple, building that today. I want you to think about those great things today, be encouraged by that, and join us tomorrow where we'll finish up this little tiny trip through 2 Chronicles 7, and I want you to see a passage that maybe you've heard before, and we'll talk a little bit about it tomorrow. Thanks for joining.